Every year in Formula One, 10 teams and 20 different pilots around the world to win and become the champion. He competes on more than 20 tracks. The rule of the game is actually simple. Become the fastest pilot and collect the highest score in all these races. Now let's talk about the facts of this sports organization, and let's assume that you are a good enough pilot to compete in Formula One. Then let the bitter truth come. In Formula One, your pure speed and skill alone are not enough to make you a champion. First, you need to find an empty seat. Then a good engine supplier, good chassis, good aerodynamics, a solid pit wall. These are just the ones that come to my mind. In Formula One, even a piece of screw can knock you out of the championship, so there are too many variables to count. Apart from all this, we also need a little luck. Each factor we mentioned can be the subject of separate videos. But today we will talk about Adrian Newey, one of the first names that come to mind when we think of designing a car in Formula One. Especially those who have just started following Formula may first have known him for the RB16B he designed for Red Bull in the 2021 season, or for designing one of the most balanced cars in the 2022 rule changes. For example, I knew him during the 2010 to 2013 Red Bull period. But he has nearly 40 years of motorsport history. Easy to say, the vehicles he designed have 182 race wins. His Formula One career began in 1988 when he designed the March 881. Using the not very powerful Judd engine, this vehicle managed to see podiums under Ivan Capelli. It was not easy to make a podium with a bad engine in those years. With the success of its design, Adrian Newey has managed to make a name for itself in the world of Formula One. In the summer of 1990, the team changed hands and became Leighton House Racing. Then Newey was fired. Newey later said of those days, "I was fired but had already decided to leave because when a team is led by an accountant, it's time to move on." These ambitious statements came on the eve of one of the biggest decisions of Newey's career. The 1986 and 1987 champion Williams wanted to be competitive again. Seeing idle talent, Frank Williams recruited Adrian Newey to the team. Although they were a good duo with Patrick Head in the 1991 season, the designed car could not reach the championship. The vehicle had chronic durability issues. But the real issue is different. McLaren, Honda, and Ayrton Senna winds were blowing in those years. Fighting a legendary driver like the strong and durable McLaren and Senna was not an easy task for Newey, who joined Williams with the dust of his feet. The combination of the more perfectly designed 92 cars and the powerful Renault engine made 39-year-old Nigel Mansell and Williams 1992 champions. A Newey design took its first title. After Mansell left the team, Alain Prost joined the team in the 1993 season and won a dominant championship. The year is 1994, one of Formula One's darkest seasons. The Williams car was a car with flaws compared to previous years. But that didn't mean it wouldn't be competitive. With the 1994 season in Formula One, a new star began to be born. Michael Schumacher. Schumacher, who won 6 of the first 7 races of the season with Benetton, looked very relaxed. But for the story of the season, we still have to go back to the 3rd race. To the San Marino Grand Prix in Italy. Another world star, Ayrton Senna, who was driving a Williams car, could not complete the first 2 races. He couldn't find the car he wanted in this team where he came to win a new championship. What happened next, we all know. After that painful accident in San Marino, Ayrton Senna passed away. Include Senna video. With Senna's accident, the Williams team began to have a headache. It is still unknown whether the cause of the accident was due to the vehicle or pilotage. There are some theories such as the safety car going slow, the tire pressures, a part on the steering wheel not welded to a sufficient level of reliability. After the accident, the Williams team and the vehicle's designer, Adrian Newey, had to appear in court on charges of manslaughter. Despite all these trials, Newey was acquitted in the first verdict in December 1997. This decision was also upheld on appeal in 1999, and a full acquittal was granted for Newey in 2005. Although Adrian Newey was acquitted with these decisions, his relationship with the team was slowly starting to open up. This accident changed not only Newey's fate, but the fate of the entire Formula One world. Still, the teams became champions in Williams' '94 season. Damon Hill lost the world title in the final race. In the 1995 season, both the drivers' and constructors' titles went to Benetton. At that time, Benetton's use of the Renault engine made a difference. In the 1996 season, Newey, along with Damon Hill, finished their unfinished business and became the champion in both classifications. This was his last season at Williams. His story at Williams ended with 59 race victories, 78 pole positions, and 60 fastest laps in 114 races. With a clean slate in 1997, Adrian Newey's McLaren story began. McLaren had a tough team boss like Ron Dennis, but on the other hand, it is one of the most established teams in Formula One. Since he just joined the team, he could not have a say in the 1997 design and concentrated on the 98 vehicle. Newey's new creation, the McLaren MP4/13, was a very difficult vehicle to beat. McLaren had a strong season with two solid drivers, Mika Hakkinen and David Coulthard. The 1999 car, the MP4/14, was a fast tool, but with durability issues. McLaren cars were out of the race 12 times during the season for various reasons. Schumacher's broken leg this season has been a great opportunity for McLaren and especially Hakkinen. Hakkinen, who entered the championship race with Eddie Irvine in his absence, became the world champion in the last race. That year, McLaren was only second in the Constructors' Championship. While Ferrari missed only 4 races, McLaren missed 12 races. Durability problems with the Mercedes engine have become a big problem for McLaren and Newey. Although he wanted to leave the team in 2001 to join Jaguar, Ron Dennis somehow convinced Newey. With the 2000s, it was clear that Newey was not happy at McLaren. As we talked about at the beginning of the video, a good vehicle design was not a factor for the championship and success. He was uncomfortable with McLaren's management structure, not to mention durability issues. The 2002 season is a complete disgrace. In the 17-race calendar, McLaren, driven by Kimi Räikkönen, could only finish in 7 races. McLaren, which put forward competitive vehicles until the 2004 season, saw the bottom that year and finished the championship 5th. The 2005 McLaren was the fastest car on the grid that year. Even though Newey has pulled a rabbit out of the hat this season, guess what? Stamina problems drove McLaren out of the championship. Now Newey's McLaren story was over. Red Bull era. In 2005, a project team entered the Formula One grid. Ford, the investor of Jaguar Racing, felt that this team could no longer be competitive in Formula One. The main concern was actually about market share. Jaguar Racing, which went on sale in 2004, was purchased on the last day for a symbolic $1. Red Bull had come up with the promise of an investment of $400 million. Christian Horner, who is still the Red Bull team principal, has taken over. David Coulthard and Christian Klein became Red Bull's first piloting duo. In the beginning, this formation becomes a wave at the point of being the team of the beverage brand. But in the background, professional steps were taken, such as the establishment of the Red Bull Driver Academy and the participation of the important GP2, that is, Formula 2 drivers of the period, in this academy. The strongest of these steps would be the joining of Adrian Newey, who left McLaren, to the team. All these investments made Red Bull a car that competes in the middle ranks in a short time after 2006. But Newey and Red Bull had their eyes high. The 2009 rule changes were the right time to reap the fruits of the Newey and Red Bull collaboration. Newey's new toy RB5 was the second best team to keep up with the rule changes. Young talent Sebastian Vettel joined the team in the same year and finished second in the championship in the second season of his career. There was a different atmosphere in the 2009 season. Deciding to withdraw from Formula One, Honda was bought by former team director Ross Brawn. He raced as Brawn Mercedes in 2009. Led by another Formula One genius, Ross Brawn, Brawn GP started the season using a double-layer diffuser. Brawn GP and Jenson Button, which dominated the first half of the season, became the champions of that year. The 2010 season is one of the most beautiful seasons of the recent past, where the championship was evident in the last race. Newey's RB6 was the fastest design of the season with Renault engine. 15 pole positions in 19 races. It was a very fast and stable car. Also, Newey had no stamina issues to get in the way. At the end of the season, Red Bull became the Constructors' Champion. Sebastian Vettel is the youngest Formula One champion in history. Vettel and Red Bull were lucky enough to get Alonso with his weak Ferrari engine behind Renault's Vitaly Petrov in the breathtaking Abu Dhabi race. As we talked at the beginning of the video, a good designer, a good engine, a good pilot, and a bit of luck. All of these were together in the 2010 season. In 2011, Red Bull entered into a full partnership with Renault and agreed on free engine supply. Adrian Newey once again managed to do better. 18 pole positions in 19 races. There's no need to extend the word. A dominant championship. 2012 season was one of the seasons where the cars competing in Formula 1 were closest to each other. 6 different teams have race wins. Again, a championship that was determined in the last race. Alonso loses, Vettel is the champion at the last minute. The trio of Adrian Newey, Red Bull, and Vettel added another championship to their careers. Needless to say, another domination in 2013. When it comes to Newey, championships seem to become commonplace. You should not forget this. Adrian Newey has won countless championships with 3 different teams in different periods in Formula 1. That's why he's a designer on suits. It is a value in the name of Formula 1. It should not be evaluated from the eyes of a fan. The Newey Turbo Hybrid could not claim the championship for most of the period due to the weak Renault and Honda engines. However, with the 2021 season, he managed to fit a championship in this period. Formula 1 career approaching 40 years. With more than 180 race wins, as many pole positions and countless podiums, Newey can only compete with himself as a designer. He smashed all the statistics in his league. He has won the championship with Williams, McLaren, and Red Bull in 12 separate seasons in his career. The undisputed leader of the Designers League.